I have a wooden framed window where the glass is cracked. I have others where they are fogged, and several also have significant rot on the bottom of the frame, and some even have it on the side. So I'm going to be pulling this window out, putting in a temporary panel, taking the glass over to a glass shop for them to create a new insulated glass panel, and then I'm going to mill up a bunch of 2x4s to create a new framing material for this. This will probably be replaced as well, although this maybe I can use a wood stabilizer on this and then resurface that, so I don't have to really rip that out. This is not as bad as this. As you can see, this is just crumbling. I'll take it apart with my thumbnail. This is a little bit firmer. It's got a few cracks in there, but with a stabilizer and a filler, it should be fine. So I'm going to start by taking out the window, and to do so, we're going to need to find all the screw mount holes. There's one here, there's one there, there, and there. So let me grab a step stool and get going on that. I'm going to start by cutting away or cutting through all this caulk. And I've already scored this once, so I should be able to get through it pretty easy. Make sure it's all cut through the top and the side. The bottom did not have any caulk, so I could allow water to leak out. There we go. So once we got that, now I'm going to pull these little caps. So they put little plugs over where the screws are. Get those out of there. 1, 2. Oops. Damaged the wood. 3. And we'll see if we can get these screws out. Strip it because it'll be impossible to get out. Let me stop. Now the tricky ones. That's fine. I'll have to patch that or replace it. Okay. So now from the inside, we're going to try to push this window out. And as you see, we're able to push that out. Looks like we've cut it free. Just a little bit of push is all it took. And then I'm going to lift the window down. So if you look at the window, the only part that's really damaged is this bottom piece. I may replace all of it, or I may just replace this one piece. And it looks like this one is all solid all the way to the end, so I could just replace this one bottom piece and everything else will be good. Some caulk. And I'm going to be milling that on the table saw out of a 2x4. So to disassemble the frame, there's four screws, one in each corner. Once again, they've covered them up. So there's going to be one on each corner, and the wood is, as you see, the wood has a tenon in it. So this one here fits in this one. The same thing, all four corners. So when we're making the wood, we're going to cut it in long pieces and then cut it to length and put the tenons on it. Maybe I will use that drill. That's one.
you want the drill?
Yeah. Maybe quicker. Yeah, it's a lot faster. It's 2. Find screw. And then the 4th one over here. At this point, you can sort of pull everything apart. Careful of the crack. It's moving. And I'll lift it off this one. So this panel, which is broken, I'm going to take to a glass shop. They're going to measure it, order one, and I should have it in about 10 days. This one is what, 5/8 of an inch thick. I'll measure it out, but don't know how much it's going to cost yet. Shouldn't be too bad. But I've cut a pre-cut a panel that would fit the window opening. I'm just going to temporarily screw this in place. Put a couple of screws in. Here. And that's it. And I'll put a 4th one in. I finished milling a new top and bottom frame piece for the window, and because this window is a little bit thicker than the initial window that I'm replacing, I had to widen this out on a table saw. So same kind of thing that I used to create this, I just reran them all and made it a little bit wider because the glass is a little bit thicker. So I'll do a final test fit before staining and applying the sealant. So there's one side, that's the bottom, and they fit pretty good. I made them a little bit, ever so slightly loose, because there will be a butyl caulk applied in those grooves. I want it to be as watertight as possible. If I make it too tight, then it's going to push all the caulk out as it's being assembled. So now we're going to get a measurement. When I took the window out, I measured it, and it was 23 1/8, and this reached 23 1/8, and this dimension was 39 1/8. So those are both showing good. Take one more measurement on this side, and that's good as well. So now that this is the right size, we're going to disassemble it, stain and paint it. We're going to stain the inside, paint the outside, and then the final assembly will be applying the sealant around in all the grooves, reassembling it, and applying 4 screws in the corners that will hold the window frame together. And then we're going to put it back into the side of the house with 4 screw holes here, 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 and there. Important thing to notice, this is a low E glass, so the outer panel is low E. So when I assembled it, I made sure that this remains until I install it in the house. So that this is on the outside frame. Now, as we saw, this, I'll find a piece, there it is. The inside is cut back, and the outside is wider, so we have to make sure we're installing it the proper way. We don't want to install it that way, because then the low E would be on the inside of the house. So, this way. I just did a test fit of the window in the frame, in the opening, and I'm just taking it apart so I can apply the butyl sealant. It's very sticky. It's not like a normal caulk. This stuff is not supposed to set up like a caulk does. The initial window had something similar to that in there. When I scraped this out, it was still like putty 40 years after it was put in. So this stuff does not harden. It's going to remain flexible so that when there's wood expansion and glass, it will maintain a good seal. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to take this apart. This was down there. And this will be messy. So I'm going to try to put a little bit on each. On each face, so that when I slide the glass in, it makes a solid seal. So this will take a while, so we'll just pause while I load all this up. But we're just going to put a bead on each side of each board. I'm finishing up the last of the 4 frame pieces. Just finishing putting a bead on there. When the glass pushes against it, it should create a good airtight seal and moisture seal. There's one side. Gotta be careful because it's very stringy. I think there'll be some cleanup to do. It's very thick caulk coming out, unlike normal caulk. This is very thick stuff. Okay. So I'm going to pay attention to, this is the outside glass. I'll slide this over the bottom here. And we're going to press this on. And this goes, this edge here lines up with where the black ends. And we'll be able to move it a little bit, I'm sure. There's one. And this one will fit in there. Okay. One's in. And then the last piece. Now we got 4 screws to put in. Thank you. I already had this assembled once, so they should line up. I recessed them a little bit so I can get some putty on it to cover it up, and then we'll do the final touch-up of the paint, as we'll have to patch these holes as well. So the windowsill I was able to save. I used a product from Varathane called a wood hardener. It's a penetrant, and it hardens the wood. So there's some sort of a resin in this. But I poured this in and brushed it into any of the softer spots after cleaning out all the bad stuff. And when all that dried, it didn't take long. I then used an indoor-outdoor wood filler, which is an indoor exterior. Filled it and then sanded afterwards, and we painted it. We still have some caulking to do, so there'll be some caulk to be done. But we did not have to replace this windowsill, and that was made a lot quicker job. So now I'm ready to put the window in, and it's just simple as it came out. It's going to go back in. Let's see, where's the screw? Get that in there. I'm not going to put it all the way in just yet. I'm trying to get the top corners lined up as well. This side in. There it is, window's been replaced. We're going to fill this. All this will be filled with some putty and then final paint. This will be caulked. I'll be caulking around the exterior of the window because the seal between the window and the frame is probably not as good as it used to be, so we'll seal all that up to block any air infiltration. And next we're going to do this window, which is going to require this is an opening window, so we got to remove this hinge. That's going to be a trick, and then we'll be done with this whole assembly.